Welcome to the Unofficial Steelers Podcast, the podcast so unofficial it doesn't have a home. Here's your host, from In Hindsight, Nathan Heitz. From Steelers Nation Australia, Mark Davison. And from State of the Steelers, Daniel J. Here we go.
G'day, Steel Nation. Welcome back to Steel Nation Australia and the episode of the Unofficial Steelers Podcast with my mates Daniel and Nathan. Fellas, how's it going? Daniel, I'll start with you, mate. How's it going? What's up?
Man, I guess things could be better. Things could be a lot better right now. But you know what? Things are new. Things are fresh still. Kenny Pickett's, the starting quarterback, and he looked okay. There's a lot more holes for this team, but things are all right. They could be better, though. I mean, there's only one way to go from here, right?
Oh, you got to go up. You can't go. You can't get any worse, right? We said that last week. Can't get any worse. Nathan, mate, how's it going?
Not too bad, man. We're getting over this this flu right now, so I think we should sound a little bit better. Maybe we did.
Still got the flu.
Yeah, just some stuff still lingering around, but we should be able to sound a little bit better than we did. I think last week.
I think Mitchell Trubisky came around your house and dropped off the SARS or the chicken pox or whatever, and said, "You know what? Here you go."
Yeah, chicken pox. I think the game on Sunday just made my flu worse. To be honest.
Hey, I got a quick question for you guys before we move on from the Bills stuff. We're going to recap the Bills, and then we're going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers season and in the future and stuff like that, and coaching changes and all that kind of stuff. Would you guys, if you're a Bills fan, I'll start with you, Daniel. Would you jump through a table?
No, I mean
you wouldn't do that if you're a fan. I'd do it.
Oh, man, with how the defense is playing, I'm fixing to jump through a table though. If I was a Bills fan right now, they're playing unbelievably well. In all phases of the game, I think jumping through the table would probably be the least of my things I'd want to do.
That's what they do, though. That's how mad they are. Would you do that, Nathan, that the fans do at the tailgates? Would you do the ceremony of jumping through a table?
Are you asking if I was a Bills fan or just in general?
Nah, if you're going to be a Bills fan, you don't do it if you're not a Bills fan. You're crazy.
That's what I was going to say. Oh, 100% I would if I'm a Bills fan.
Yeah, I'd probably do it. Because I was talking to a bloke the other day in one of my Australian chats, and he was a Bills fan. And if I was a Bills fan, I'd probably do it. I reckon I wouldn't light it on fire or nothing, but I probably would if I was like a Bills fan and it was my first time over there, Yeah, dead set. I'd have a few, courage in a can, a few beverages, and then go, stuff it. Film me doing this. Anyways, it does feel like that. Let's recap the game just a little bit. What are your overall thoughts, Nathan, about this game? Is it that bad? Is it panic time? But what are your overall thoughts from the game? Pretty horrible game, right?
Oh, dude. I mean, it's got to be. I think this is the worst Steeler game I've watched since they. Let me think here. There's a handful of them over the last few years. I would say this is the worst one I've watched, at least from the one that comes to mind when they played the Eagles in 2016 and got destroyed and only scored 3 points. That was dreadful too. Dude, this was just absolutely pathetic. Like, it really was. There was no effort from anybody. They quit. Tomlin quit. There's zero accountability on this team, and the loyalty aspect of this team, the way that they continue to go about things in terms of how they stay the course, they stay put with people. It's old, dude. It's stale. The Steelers' message is stale. The ownership is the way that they operate is stale. The coaching staff, just they cannot get it right around Mike Tomlin, and that's on him as well.
Yep.
It's showing. It's showing, and that's not even overreaction. It's been we've seen from we'll say over the last 5 years, from defense and offensive standpoint in terms of who Tomlin brings in, has been a disaster. Like, it's really been a disaster. Rooney standing pat, not putting any pressure on anything, not coming out saying anything. It's sad. Like, it really is. It's sad. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for this organization, and we all know that this isn't how the Steelers operate. Now, we also know it's a different season, and it's kind of a transition going into your future, but at the same time, it's not even the fact that they lost Sunday. I don't think a soul picked them to win Sunday.
I did.
Well, beside Mark. Mark was the only one.
Well, I thought they had a chance, to be honest. I really did. I got all hyped up because the Bills secondary was out, and I thought we had a chance.
There's a reaction video out there about your chance.
Jesus, so hyped up.
Well, Mark, you're the only person in this world that picked them, but it's not even that they lost Sunday. It's the fact of how they lost. Just pure embarrassment. It really is. It really is. Even offensively, pure embarrassment, dude. Like from Deontay and Claypool and Najee Harris. Nothing, dude. Just absolute nothing. They literally traveled to Buffalo to kick a field goal. That's literally what they did. So it's not the fact they lost on Sunday. Like if they would have lost, like it is what it is. But it's how they lost. And great job preparing your team, Michael. Great job on that.
Yep.
Great job on continuing to say in your press conference after the game, yeah, changes are going to be made. Changes need to be made. Yeah, we're sticking with the same thing. Here we go. Same thing over and over, expecting different results. Nothing's going to change. So it's stale, dude. The Steeler way is stale.
It very well is. What are your thoughts, Daniel, on, let's talk about Mike Tomlin for a bit. We're going to probably chop and change over the shop because there's so many different narratives and storylines we can go down. The idea of the change. What is can Tomlin change things and does it need to be pressure on Tomlin's head? Because I think there does need to be pressure on his head, but I'm still Tomlin supporter.
I mean, Tomlin hasn't had the best record here recent. Early on in his coaching career with the Pittsburgh Steelers, he did fantastic. If you look at the last 5 years, and the NFL's a what have you done for me lately type of league, he really hasn't moved the bar. Offensively, it's been poor 3 consecutive years in a row. The running game hasn't been the same since Le'Veon Bell was a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that was forever ago. And so, that has been something that was supposed to be an emphasis on this team, and they really haven't moved the bar. I do think that Mike Tomlin's failures in this aspect perhaps could be in, who he hires as his coordinators. And, not to mention also he had a aging Ben Roethlisberger coming in. And then, this year starting off with Mr. Trubisky, that obviously was not the correct move to go with. It's been a struggle offensively. I do think that Mike Tomlin needs to start looking in the mirror and start thinking to himself that, whatever he's been doing here recently, which is, and the rumors have been out there that he doesn't really pay the coordinators or the Steelers don't pay the coordinators a tremendous amount of money. I think maybe that needs to change. You get what you pay for, kind of, so to speak. And when you're buying coordinators that are getting washed out of the college league, what do you expect? And so it's one of those types of things. But I got a question for you, Mark. You're a Tomlin supporter. If Carolina came to the Pittsburgh Steelers with the John Gruden trade, 2 1s, 2 2s for Mike Tomlin, would you do it?
Two first and what?
2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks.
Possibly, because you know what? Possibly, right? And the reason why I'm a Tomlin supporter, it has a lot to do with his success, right? You can't take away the guy that he hasn't, from all my time watching the game, we've had a chance to win the playoffs. Now, I still believe there needs to be a bit of adversity in Steelers fans and the Steelers team, right? You have to go through some of the bad times of being 1-4, and can we turn it around? 100% we can. Can Kenny Pickett and the offense do it? 100%. Now, of course, it falls on Tomlin, but I don't believe you should just say you should give up the whole season and say we're going to be awful, it's terrible. Hell is burning down from the bloody sky, it's falling. I don't believe that because he's put in enough work to where Tomlin can get out of this. He's shown it with the Duck and Rudolph show. He's shown that. Now, is there a lot of pressure? 110%. Tomlin's also come out and said he knows it's on him, right? He does know it's on him. Now, it would probably, to me, it would be a good scenario to say, well, you can start fresh because obviously starting fresh can sometimes help organizations, but at the same time, it could also hurt organizations too. But if you did that and got some draft picks out of it, you got a new guy in, maybe you promote Flores, and that's an idea you could do. They give them Mike Tomlin, we get the 2 picks, we get Flores, and then we move on and push forward. That could be a pretty good case, right? But I think we forget as Steeler fans that we've been so successful for so long, and the minute we start to lose is the minute that we all go crazy. Right now, we're like a bunch of ants running around in circles. Now, did the loss hurt? 100%. Was there a lack of attention? 110%. It's a really bad game. One of the worst games I've ever seen. Is this a current theme? 100%. Will it get worse? We don't know. We don't know if it'll get worse. If they go out and beat the Bucks, is it all fixed? No. So, but to answer your question, yeah, like I would probably take that. If I was the owner, I'd say, Mike, look, it's not working here anymore. We're style, your style. Both parties can't fit anymore. We get 2 picks. We promote Flores, and then you move forward, and Tomlin finishes his stuff and go, okay, we did pretty well in that era, and you move on. To answer your own question, would you take that?
I think I would. You look at what coaches are being successful in this league. They're offensively minded coaches. I think I would let Tomlin go. I'd give Sean Payton a call and see if he's interested in coming out here and working with Kenny Pickett, something of that nature, and maybe have Flores running the defense, because I'm concerned about this entire coaching staff at whole. You look at Brian Flores, he's responsible also for the defense that allowed 38 points in probably 3 quarters, and it should have been a lot more. It should have been a lot more in this game. And so, one of the things that was put out there that I saw in the Twitterverse, I don't know how accurate it is, but that the Bills had reportedly said that if they were playing a tougher team, they would have considered starting Poyer and some of the other guys. But since it was the Pittsburgh Steelers, they sat out a lot of these guys.
Look, they shellacked us, man. They're a good team. They shellacked us, but I do believe it does start with the hot start where we almost had the 98 pass is how it all fell apart. And then the fumble, right? And I don't think you can put that on Tomlin. Maybe the defensive scheme you can, where Trey Norwood runs down the box, right? And they blow the coverage. That could be on Tomlin, could be on defense. And I've got a quote that I want to try and get your thoughts on too, Nathan, in just a second. But the fumble by Pierre, you probably can't put it on those players.
But whose decision was it to put Pierre there?
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
That was a bad. Why Pierre? like there's a lot of receivers on this team that can catch and field the ball. Why Pierre? Like, that was a horrible decision on its own.
They just want to get him involved as best they can. Look, I know there are other points where there are times where Tomlin should have went for a field goal and they missed it, should have went to 4th and 5 and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of things going on, but I still think it's early in the season, and I think that Tomlin has turned it around. And I'm going to wait until I collectively see what happens with this season. But the trend is right now, people aren't happy, fans aren't happy, and pretty much they want his head, they want everyone's head to start. But you can't fire everyone. But I want to ask you this question, Nathan, if I get it right. Let me see which one. This could be it. Hang on. What are your thoughts on this, Nathan? So this came from the press conference. Now, Mike Tomlin is apparently he's been highly involved in the defensive play calling and with the offense as well. So for me, when I call for Matt Canada's head or Terrell Austin's head, am I not calling for Mike Tomlin? What do you think of those sorts where he's getting is he too involved in the offense and defense?
So is that Tomlin's saying that he's been like that all year so far?
This is what he said in the press conference before it went haywire. Apparently it went haywire today. So that was from Bon Pompiani. He says that Tomlin, he said highly involved and have been with the defense and with the offense as well. So, I've talked about putting, a bullet on Canada's, time or Austin. But at the same time, if Mike Tomlin's involved, does he need to share that responsibility?
Oh, absolutely does. Absolutely does. I don't know what it is, dude. Tomlin has been this defensive mastermind apparently, and their defense after 2000 and their defense 2012 sucked, 2013 sucked, 2014 sucked, 2015 sucked, 2016 sucked, 2017 actually was pretty solid until Ryan Shazier got hurt. 2018 sucked, 2019 was great, 2020 was pretty solid, and last year's was awful, and this year's was awful. So I don't understand the whole defensive guru Mike Tomlin is, when literally you look at the last 12 years, most of the defense has been absolutely god awful. Steeler Girl, thanks for tuning in. Have a good rest of your day. Like, seriously, what are you taking over here? What's the point of having coordinators if they're not allowed to do their job? So yeah, Matt Canada sucks anyway. We all know this. But with Terrell Austin, okay, you promote him. But why have them then? Like, if your head coach is taking over that stuff, what are they there for? What are they doing? They're not calling stuff then. Doesn't seem like it. But clearly Tomlin is not pleased with Matt Canada, as you could tell. But this is the Steeler way, guys. They don't do anything as the season goes on. They wait till everything's a freaking mess and disaster. They do at the end of the year. They never should have brought back Matt Canada this year anyway. They need to go get someone who's up to date in current state of NFL, not some 60-year-old clown that was around in 2005. They need somebody who is up to date with how the offense in the league works today, how they operate today. Not Matt Canada, whose college offense isn't working and not a college team wanted him. That's what they need. And Mike Tomlin, stick to your head coaching duties, stick to your leadership, right? I don't know why you need to get your ass involved in everything, because clearly it's not working.
I think that bring it back up, Mark, if you don't mind.
Yeah, this is the one from Bob.
I'm highly involved and have been with the offense as well. I think maybe he's just being a leader in that situation, trying to take a little bit of the heat. I think the noise might be getting into the locker room. I mean, there's been a lot of question about Matt Canada and a lot of the heat towards him. That could be Mike Tomlin trying to redirect some of the heat towards himself, more than admitting that he's had such a huge influence. And he's the head coach. Of course, he's going to have an influence. He's going to have the say-so in certain things, whether it's scheme, script, or whether or not they're going to go for it on fourth down in their own end of the field, as they did against the Jets. And so, of course, he's going to be highly involved. And I'm not on the side of fire Tomlin. I think every coach needs a chance to rebuild. The Pittsburgh Steelers need a chance to rebuild, and that sometimes comes with a losing season or two. I mean, you can look at the Patriots kind of went through that before they turned around and got back into the playoffs. I'm sure there's other teams, but sometimes it does take a loss. Now, I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers put some eggs in the wrong baskets. Deontay Johnson, Claypool, those guys aren't panning out. And I think the Steelers need to identify that these guys are not the players that they thought they were and move on from them. I know they brought in a guy today, a receiver, to work out from a speedster. I can't remember his name. But, maybe that's a message to these receivers that they're going to go out and get some other players for them and to replace them.
Well, I've got another comment here too, and I want to get you guys' thoughts on this as well, because before I do, actually, now I do like the accountability Tomlin's saying, because I think as a head coach, even if it's not your fault, you still put your hand up. He's still the head coach and still needs to wear it. That's why I'm saying, like, as much as it does feel down the dumps right now that everyone says fire Tomlin, he's the worst coach ever, he still had so much success back in the day, right? And it still needs to be, and he can work. I'm telling you, he can work his way out of this. I know people call me crazy, but he can work his way out of this. Go and beat Bucks. And we're back in it. We're back in the playoff race, or have a few games and try and get out of this mess as best you can. But Nathan, I'll start with you first. What are your thoughts on this? So, this is all from the press conference that it went haywire. Bob Pompiani says Mike Tomlin, when asked about Matt Canada and his play calling, he says, "I'm confident." What are your thoughts on Mike Tomlin saying he's confident in Matt Canada? Because I'm like, what's going on?
Claudia, shout out to you. We appreciate your support, man, and enjoying the show. There was a little bit more to that quote where Tomlin did say that, and then he also was talking about that certain changes are on the table, and he's not opposed to stuff like that. I think, again, it's kind of what Daniel maybe said a little bit, where your head coach is trying to take some stuff on his shoulders and trying to keep guys confident through the adversity. But I agree. Like, I think that Steeler fans are so spoiled. And obviously the Steelers have a different standard compared to all the other teams, man. Like, obviously they're one of the best franchises. They're haven't had a losing season in 18 years. But, dude, Bill Cowher had losing seasons, and a Super Bowl came out of that. Chuck Noll had some losing seasons. So I agree. I'm not on the fire Tomlin train. But just because you're not, it doesn't mean you don't agree. You have to agree with every single thing he does. I completely think from week one.
That's a good point.
Yes. From week one, before week one, we knew Trubisky was going to be the starter. Wasn't a quarterback competition at all. I think Tomlin mishandled the whole quarterback situation to begin with. Okay, that's his fault. Bringing in piss poor coordinators, that's his fault. He has things that are his fault. But at the same time, like, it's okay to fail, man. Like, if the standard at this point is the Steelers never having a losing season with Tomlin, if that's a standard, like, what is that getting you to? That's getting you to 500 or a first-round playoff exit. That's how it's been. It's okay to have a season where you fail. Now, obviously, if you're a Steeler fan, like, you don't want to see them fail where they only win 3 or 4 games. But if they're a team that wins 6, 7 games or something like that, like, that's okay. And that might be what they do this year. I don't think they're going to be a team that wins 4 or 5 games. I think they'll win a little bit more than that. I think we'll see how things go in the bye week. But I think after the bye week, they'll get a stretch of wins. Absolutely, I do. But Tomlin was in this predicament before when they were 1-4 in 2019. Now, given in 2019, their defense was great that year. But still, like, I'm not in the fire Tomlin crowd. I'm definitely not pleased with him and certain decision-making and stuff like that. And it's okay. Like, as a fan, as a paying customer, as someone who supports the Steelers, yeah, criticism that's justified is absolutely always warranted. And Tomlin deserves a lot of criticism right now. Absolutely he does. But I'm still not going to say fire him. Like, whenever a coach here in Pittsburgh, if you would fire Tomlin, bring someone else in, and they have a couple losing seasons, I mean, do you fire him? Like, is that the thing that we're doing? So I understand the frustrations that the fans have. I understand that the Steelers haven't won a playoff game since 2016. I get all of that. I get overreactions. I get fans get caught up in the moment, stuff like that. If the Steelers get out of this mess and stuff like that, the fans will be back over, oh, this is Tomlin's greatest coaching season and stuff like that. The shit happens. And we saw it. I mean, it seems like we hear it every year that this is Tomlin's greatest coaching season. So
man, I'll just take me and Daniel.
Whatever they're laughing about. I don't know. Looks like it's my show now, guys. Looks like it's my show.
No, you're killing it. You're on fire. You're absolutely, I'm telling you, what you're saying is Nathan not on fire, Daniel?
No, for sure.
That's completely the right points right there.
It's the flu game, fellas. It's the flu game today.
The minute, look, this was so overreactionary. And I look, the hurt sucks. It really sucks. And Tomlin, yes, he's failing. But like you said, sometimes it's good to fail. Fail is not bad. It's not a bad thing in life. Failure can be a good thing in life. You go, holy crap, I was doing that all the whole time. I got away with everything. I got away with Super Bowls and going here in playoffs, and now I'm failing. Oh, now I understand. Like, it's not a bad thing. But, I agree with 100%. You can finish what you were saying, but I just wanted to make that point. You're killing it.
I appreciate the backing here, Mark and Daniel. I appreciate that. And yeah, like Claude says right here, the Cowboys fans wanted Mike McCarthy fired, and now they're 4-1 and doing well with their backup quarterback and stuff like that. So, like, that's it. Like, it's okay to go through adversity, and it's something that Steeler fans don't want that. Like, they don't want to accept, which I understand. Again, all the success this franchise has had over the years, and how really the last 18 years have been, and all the criticism coming Mike Tomlin's way is justified. It is. But at the same time, every other team really has gone through this stuff. Look at Philadelphia, right? They're 5-0. They bring in Nick Sirianni. They fired Andy Reid. Andy Reid was there a long time. They parted ways. Okay. They went through some bumps themselves. Now, I'm not comparing that where the Steelers necessarily need to part ways with Tomlin and do the same thing. But teams do that. Like, teams that have sustained success. Look at San Francisco. Baltimore's had losing seasons, man. Baltimore hasn't won a playoff game since, when was the last time they won a playoff? Well, last year, but before last year, they didn't win a playoff game since like 2014 when they beat the Steelers in the wild card. So Sean Payton, man, when Sean Payton was with the Saints, he had losing seasons with Drew Brees. Tomlin never had losing seasons, and they're both really on par in terms of success as a coach. Both have won one Super Bowl. So, and that's it. Maybe Tomlin does need a losing season, man.
He's never had a high draft pick really either.
Yeah, he's never had a high draft pick like that. He obviously having been his whole career and not having him, it's different. Like, it's hard to do that. You can't just go from someone like Ben and then have your quarterback competition and, do things like that. Have a rookie, bring in someone that's ass, and have Mason Rudolph as well. Like, sometimes there's only so much you can do as well after everything comes to an end, So now you have to kind of, all right, restart. Now the Steelers don't restart in the sense of like Seattle, where they get rid of Russell Wilson and tear everything down, even though they're not doing that bad right now. But they're still, they're in a rebuilding process. The Steelers don't operate that way, which I think is nice as a fan, where you always have things to look forward to. But at the same time, they haven't been in that predicament for a long time.
Well, let's put it this way.
Sometimes it takes that.
Let's put it this way. They're not like the Washington Commanders changing in their name, that kind of franchise. Not like the Detroit Lions who can't get out of their own way.
Yeah.
Daniel, is there hope? And are the Steelers, can they how do the Steelers get out of this, Daniel, this 1-4 run? is the case of just winning football games to get out of it?
I mean, winning kind of cures everything. But the other thing is too, like, it's about execution. And I know a lot of people are getting kind of tired of hearing that as well, but execution is key. Prior to Kenny Pickett, and I haven't looked at the all-22 on this last game, but prior to Kenny Pickett being in there, while Mitch Trubisky was a quarterback, I got a couple of yes or no questions for you guys. Were there receivers running down open that the ball didn't get thrown to with Mitch Trubisky?
Wait, were they open?
Yeah, were there open receivers that Mitch didn't throw to?
Yes.
Full times, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So were there instances where the offensive line were being overpowered and physically thrown to the ground? There's one that happened in this recent game where Dotson has been known to get thrown.
Yeah, at certain times. I think more so maybe that left side.
Have there been receivers that have dropped the ball?
Absolutely.
I feel
has Najee missed lanes?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so what offensive coordinator is going to fix those? That's not an offensive coordinator.
Those are all on
problem.
them, man.
Exactly. Those are not offensive coordinator issues.
No.
Those are not coaching staff issues. That is execution issues.
Exactly.
And my thing is, when you look at these players, I think maybe they chose the wrong ones in certain places. You look at Deontay Johnson, he was forced to the Steelers try to make him into Antonio Brown. They threw Antonio Brown routes and they threw Antonio Brown targets at him repeatedly. And at that pace, he can't keep up. He's not Antonio Brown. They got Najee Harris, who, at that time, maybe they should have looked at an offensive lineman. It is what it is. You got Jalen Warren, who's an undrafted rookie that's looking a little bit better. You have Claypool, who isn't that guy that the intangibles say he is. He's not. He doesn't play to his height or speed. He plays to a smaller, slower player. And so, the Steelers got things wrong. And the thing is, when it comes to the coaching staff, what they need to overcome is the fact that they're a staff that doesn't admit that they're wrong. And once they start admitting that they're wrong and start making those moves and those decisions, that's when I think that you're going to start seeing a better team. Because I don't think it was a coincidence when you look at, Kenny Pickett in the second half against the Jets was 5 of 6 on third downs. He targeted Deontay Johnson a lot less than he did this past game. And look at the outcome. There was significantly less fortunate on third downs. There was a lot more drops and plays that could have extended drives and even gotten scores or TDs and made this an actual game. Deontay Johnson made wide receiver 1 plays, keep his feet in bounds or control the ball and keep it going down to the ground. I mean, it's just what it is. And so the Steelers need to admit that they're wrong in those situations and then address them. With what they have on the current roster, I think George Pickens needs to be targeted significantly more. Pat Freiermuth has had his third concussion in 2 years. That's a huge concern.
Was that a head hunting hit, which should have been flagged? I've watched it again. Bad hit.
I think it was a bad hit.
Bad hit. Didn't get flagged.
But you know what? The Buffalo Bills are like that. And they're a team that, I mean, you go and look at it across the board. I think the hit on Kenny Pickett,
another thing, they went for his back, then they went for his leg. And this is the reason why I hated the Bengals. Maybe I should hate the Bills even more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that was disgusting, that play. Whoever that player was who went for his legs was disgusting.
No, I completely agree. Completely 100% agree. And so, the Steelers need to make some different decisions, and I don't know if there's decisions that can be made with the current roster on this year. This might be a year that is going to get the Pittsburgh Steelers in position to make some better moves potentially, because
you need
unless they start executing at a much higher rate, then it's going to be a long year.
Yeah, no, it is, and you make some good points there, and that's why you can't put every single inch of blame on Mike Tomlin or Matt Canada. Matt Canada is a lot to blame with a lot of things. Mike Tomlin needs accountability on a lot of things. But at the same time, guys haven't been playing good. Miles Jack's been dog piss the last 3 weeks. Cam Hayward's been irrelevant. Larry Ogunjobi's been irrelevant. Really, the only person on defense that's made himself known is Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's the only one that's turned over the ball. He's the only one that's made plays. Offensively, I think Kenny's doing what he can, but guys are dropping the ball. Key situations, key downs, stuff to keep things going. They're dropping the ball. Pressley Harvin sucks. Why is he still here?
We had Berry for a minute, and then they got rid of him.
Yeah, Jordan Berry was pretty good with Minnesota.
I made a video out of it, and then next minute, 2 days later, it was gone.
Yeah. Najee Harris isn't seeing the field well, and maybe he's limited a little bit with his foot, so sit him down. Let Jaylen Warren get some more snaps. What Tomlin did say today that he's getting an increased role, but Najee Harris might be eliminated. Obviously, he's not himself right now. What we saw last year to this year, Najee Harris isn't fighting for those extra yards, man. Najee Harris has a little bit of a better offensive line in front of him than he did last year. So, and we're not seeing that production right now. So, yeah, it's an all-around problem.
Yeah. Is it a problem, and I'll go to you, Daniel, is it a problem where, collectively the team's not coming together? Individually, they're all skillful, right? But collectively, they're not coming together? What do you think?
I mean, that's a huge possibility. I mean, you look at the amount of time that this team has had together. Kenny Pickett was his backup quarterback for the first quarter of the season. This team and the receivers are accustomed to Mr. Trubisky and to him throwing the ball. So there might be a little formation or whatever you want to call it, transition effect there or jet lag, so to speak, when it comes to, all right, Kenny Pickett's going to, keep he likes to throw the ball down the field when things get crazy or he starts moving in the pocket. He's not looking to run out of bounds. He's looking to make a play. So these receivers are going to have to learn to stay open and try to, continue to stay open and get open and not give up on plays. And so they're going to learn each other. And so they can potentially get to a place where they're expecting the ball. Perhaps maybe Deontay Johnson wasn't expecting Kenny Pickett to throw the ball across his body over the middle of the field.
He's a receiver.
Right.
He should expect it.
No, yeah, but, Mr. Trubisky wouldn't have thrown that there. He would have gotten sacked. So, it might be a situation where now Deontay Johnson is aware of those things and he's going to be better prepared or ready for a pass even when he shouldn't be expecting it. And so, yeah, those things can happen. But, I mean, Deontay Johnson, I've not been a fan of his, for a while. I think that the drops and the key moments are too big. I think
he doesn't take accountability either, dude.
No, not really.
To me, there's no confidence in his speech.
He's blaming the drops on the fans.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, he's more frustrated at the media and the fans, but I think
take accountability, man.
Yeah, big time. To me, is it the case, Nathan, that they're just not good? You know what I'm saying? The offense is not a good team. The scheme, the schematics, coaches, this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Is it the idea that the players, the Steelers players right now are just not good players? Claypool. The one for me, I think I like the Kenny Pickett's moxie. I like Warren. I like some of the offensive line doing their best, but they still play some poor in some moments. But is it the case where the Steelers players aren't that good and they got beat by, let's be honest, Buffalo Bills are a well-coached team. Josh Allen and crew are killing it, and they're a Super Bowl contender. And what are we? Absolute nothing. Is that the case?
100% is the case. Now, also at the same time, I will say that guys that they have that aren't playing good, I don't necessarily want to label some of them, not all of them, but some of them as not good players. I think some of it, too, is just stemming from things that are going in the locker room, coaching, preparation, things that they're doing, things that they're calling that aren't working. And I think also at the end of the day, it's just affecting the whole team. I think morale, I think guys not playing good. Obviously, losing is always a big thing when it comes to teams, but just things aren't working. And that's why you got to make changes. Make a change, man. Fire Matt Canada. Take a stand. Show something that, hey, we're not going to let this continue to go on. Even though Matt Canada, not every single little thing is his fault either. But, dude, he's not going to be here next year. What good is it keeping him around? Who cares if you put Mike Sullivan in there, who's the court? Who cares? Like, maybe he might open up the playbook a little bit. Maybe it'll be the same playbook. Who knows? But do something.
They got to put some fear. To me, they got to put some fear in the whole team. If you go and fire someone like Canada,
show nobody's job is safe from your coaching staff.
We're going to bench you, Deontay. Why? I'm the best one here. I'm the best. No, we're going to bench you for Tyler Vaughns. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, why aren't they doing that? If we're getting 3 points anyway, bench him for Steven Sims without his damn eye injury. You know, there needs to be changes like that happen, and I don't know where it starts, fellas. I'm really, because we are seeing the same thing, and that's why we're all Tomlin supporters. And look, I'm not going to go change and go fire Tomlin, because then they could go win next week, and I'll look silly. Honestly, a lot of people who do the fire Tomlin stuff, you're very quiet. You're very quiet when we're winning. And I've always said you can't have it both ways. If you go on, the Steelers have the best season ever, and the Steelers go on to win Super Bowl. Yes, it's a crazy idea. That means the fire Tomlin crowd wins. They win because they say fire Tomlin, and they win because they're a Steelers fan. Yeah. On the other side, we lose because we cheer him on all the time. And you have to go, this to me, it's like, you know, there needs to be adversity. It needs to be pushing through this, you know, walking through the mud. And this is a bad team. It's a bad team right now.
Yep.
But Tom Brady's coming in and he's like 50 years old. Go get him.
And I think the Steelers might make some moves. I mean, the receiver, and Robert Cotting reminded me in the live chat, was former Pitt receiver Tazier Mack. You know, no stranger to Kenny Pickett. That guy there is a speedster, 6'2", ran 4.40 in the 40. This guy could be a guy that, you know, like I said, familiarity with Kenny Pickett, could be a dude. Not somebody I expect to see anytime soon, but
it's probably Deion Kane all over again, dude.
Yeah, but it could be a guy that's going to at least, you know, let these receivers that are currently on the staff know, hey, if you guys aren't, you know, going to do the work, we're going to bring the guys that Kenny's comfortable with, and that he's got, you know, what's the word I'm looking, confidence that they're going to catch the ball. Yeah. You know, so it's a possible move, but you know, when you look at this game that's upcoming, would you know, the three receivers that are there, you're looking at Deontay, Chase, and George Pickens. Would you prefer those three to start the lineup, or would you prefer it being George, maybe Boykin and Calvin Austin III? What do you think there'd be a difference there?
That's a big question, because I think the most talented guys are like Claypool and Deontay, and those guys, they're just not playing good football. Like Claypool is, like you said, he's got all the intangibles, 6'5" and whatever, but he can't catch contested balls. But he did play well. I give him he played better this week when he got the ball short and fast, and then he runs after that. I don't know if it was you, Daniel, or someone else telling me, but he runs after that. It might have been you, I think. He gets the ball short and fast, and then he runs after that. That's great. He can't do anything else. So put him in that situation. If Calvin Austin comes back, you know, maybe we labeled, you know, Kenny Pickett being the spark and the savior, but he did play better. So I don't overly know. I think you got to go with the guys like Deontay, Claypool still. But if you want to send a message, sit Deontay and say, look, no one's job safe. Change Devin Bush, get him out, and put Mark Robinson in. Nothing else can happen.
Yes, please.
You know, nothing else can happen, awesome. Right?
Devin Bush blows.
So that. And this is the point. Like, will there be changes, Nathan, in this team? And we've seen it, and it doesn't really happen. And we also saw that Terrell Edmonds were out, and nothing happened. And Sean Downey says, any word on Kazi? I've heard nothing on Kazi. He's got the injury plus the suspension, so he needs to come back too. But in saying that, he's not going to be the savior. It's not going to be one person a savior. And there's so many problems. The big problem is I can't win without TJ. They're 0-8 without the best player.
Yeah,
and they're falling to pieces. And this is like, you need to make maybe you start Warren and you get a bit of a pump up. Maybe you bench Najee. And you just because you're the best player on paper and you've been doing it for years doesn't mean it's going to work.
Right.
Now, I forgot my question, but I'm just fired up. I don't know what I said.
Just about like changes again, like going into this upcoming week in the future. We know the Steelers' MO, and that's why it's hard to have any faith that anything big is going to happen. I think really for this team to any type of way get back on track, it's got to be a come together collective type thing, man. It seems like just guys are not on the same page. Morality is low. They're not playing for each other. There's lack of effort. There's lack of fire. I really think that's such a key thing. Like, yeah, we can talk about certain things that guys aren't doing. They need to get better, but man, they need to come together as a team. And when you don't have that, you have the dissension that you have right now too as a team, and losing has a lot to do with it, but there's a reason why they're losing this bad. There's multiple reasons why. You got to come together. You got to get on the same page with everybody. You got to be like, look, we're 1-4 right now. We've hit rock bottom. The only way is up right now.
Have we hit rock bottom?
What's that?
Have we hit rock bottom? Is that the?
Well, have we? But I mean, we would assume it could be. It probably could be worse at this point. Maybe if they lost to the Bengals.
I want to ask you guys one question, and we'll start to wrap it up in the next 5 minutes or so. But Daniel, what is one thing I want not like, because there's so many problems, but what is one thing that gives you confidence if Mike Tomlin made a change? And let's try and make it realistic. What is one thing of a player change, schematic, coaching? What is one thing you want to see, and we'll go around the horn, that you want to see change by the Bucs game?
Geez, that's
just one thing.
Quick turnaround. I mean, I think he's already starting that change with the Jalen Warren. You know what? I think the one thing that I would like to see different is Loudermilk in the defensive front. I think that they're Wormley and Alu have been kind of disappointing this year, to say the least. They've been kind of pushed around a little bit. And, Alu, he's a lot older. He took a year off for leg injuries, 35 years old. Father Time catches up with everybody. I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers, saw something in Loudermilk. They went up, picked him up in the draft last year. Let's give him a chance, especially since, I think his, strength is run defense. And so, we're getting kind of burned all the way around. Maybe stopping the run could help.
Good call. So, what about yourself, Nathan? What is that's a that can happen, right? What is one thing you want to see change that will impact going forward to the Bucs game?
Well, you definitely have to sometimes kind of sit there and think about that. What's one thing that kind of sticks out more than anything else? I got one thing that sticks out more than anything else for me. Robert Spillane and Devin Bush, good riddance. Good riddance. Robert Spillane, dude, I have never been a fan of. He sucks ass. Why is he on Stephon Diggs, dude? Why?
Yeah.
Why? That's coaching. That is coaching. Why? Why is he in coverage? Dude, he blows. And I will say that right to his face right now. He blows. Cool, dude. You had one big hit on Derrick Henry and almost broke your spine. Congratulations. Get out of here. Devin Bush, good riddance, dude. He just absolutely sucks too, man. He's nowhere to be seen. You got defensive linemen making tackles for linebackers. It's awful. Give Mark Robinson a freaking opportunity, dude. Not saying that that's going to change anything, but I don't want to see these guys on my TV anymore. Awful, 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 awful. And Devin Bush is a guy, too, that could give a shit. He has I don't care that I'm not in the lot. I don't care, dude. Look at the body language. Look at the play the last 3 years. He is content with just making money. He's content with being a fourth linebacker on a team, and that's all he's going to be in his career, dude, unless something changes mentally. He is fine with how everything is. Get him on the bench.
I like that take. I like that take. So before I give mine, actually, I'll do mine now, then I'll go through some of your comments, guys, in the live chat. So for me, I want to see just some better communication. I know that's an easy answer, but there are so many plays in that game that the secondary, the defense, these guys aren't communicating. They're not communicating because there was a wide open tight end that no one followed and everyone had their back to it, right? It seems like from the defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator to the players on the field, no one's communicating. No one's actually buying into the system. Nobody wants to play. They're checked out. They're all playing as individuals. They're all playing for that game check. They're all just playing to go through the motions. Hey, Claypool goes for a motion. Yeah, but in his mind, he's not getting the ball. But what you should be doing is selling that you're trying to get the ball. You're going to go a route concept where you come back and do a curl route, and you know that you're going to be covered or you're not going to get the ball. But then you stop going through the motions. You don't look back to your quarterback, and you're not getting that. So to me, it's like communication and actually wanting to play football. That's I think is the big change I think that need to happen. They need to go out there and be competitive. And I probably named like more than one thing, which is that's why we're in trouble. But let's go to the comments. We have George says here, one thing is Sullivan calling the offense. So Matt Canada's been absolutely terrible this year for sure. Change it up. Like I've said in another podcast somewhere else in the world, I said, rip up the Canada playbook, throw it out and start again. Devil says here, give Robinson some snaps, right? Sean Downey says there's no heart. That's it. Exactly right. There's no heart. And it's different now. It's so different. But at the same time, other teams out there like Philadelphia, Buffalo Bills, they show heart. So it could be coaching, right? Where are we? So Sean Downey says, my answer is the Stars aren't performing. Next guy up, you've got to earn your spot. Put pressure on them 100%. And Claude says, because Bush and Spillane are a garbage can. Hey, let's do some final thoughts and we'll wrap it up. Final thoughts, Nathan, on this team.
On this team as a whole, disappointing is too kind of just an easy way out in terms of just an easy answer. Disappointing, but really, this team, it has to be the worst Steelers team that we've had since. What year did they start 0-4? Was that 2012 or 2013? I think it was 2012, wasn't it?
I thought it was 2014, but I could be mistaken.
No, 2014 they went 11-5.
Oh, really? My bad.
2012 or 2013 they both finished 8-8, but they started 0-4 and then they finished.
That was when they lost to the Vikings, right? I think there was.
Yeah.
They lost to the Titans at home, their home opener that year. But anyway, whatever year that was, this is definitely the worst Steelers team since then. And it's too bad because they do have talent. They do have talent on this roster. But it's just, there's a variety of different factors that all of us, the national media, all Steeler fans, people from the outside looking in, can probably sit and talk and really agree for the most part. 2013. Okay, so 2013. Thank you, Sean. Devin, how you doing, man? Hopefully you're having a good week here. But we can all sit and agree with things that need to change. We can all sit and agree really what's not working and what all the issues are, stuff like that. But it's I think it's a Steelers team, man. It's just it's underachievement, man. Like it's hard going off your quarterback for 18 years. Yes, it's hard when you have a guy in Stephon Tuitt retire and you don't really have any replacement on defensive line, and you lose a guy like Joe Hayden there, who is a great leader as well, which I think also isn't necessarily talked about in terms of not necessarily losing his play, but losing that type of voice in the locker room. You need guys like that. And you just also have guys that just aren't playing up. Like it's such a variety, but it's just too bad because they're a team where you look at them, they're supposed to have a top defense, right? Okay, TJ Watt gets hurt, but again, nobody else is stepping up to the par and nobody else is playing good. Things are stale, things aren't working, stuff like that. So it's a team, man, that I think a lot of people didn't expect to be this bad. I know that a lot of people kind of thought, well, don't know if they're quite a playoff team just because of the questions that are there. We have to wait and see how guys perform. But in terms of starting off this bad, especially against, this was the best part of your schedule, your first 4 games. Like, there's a lot of things, a lot of issues there. But I still think that, sure, okay, maybe you pull out a couple wins for your bye week if you can do that. Okay, and you have a whole second half to, maybe get things strung together. It can happen. And yeah, it is a front office issue as well, Sean. That's what I'm saying. It's all around. I'm not, what I'm saying isn't every single thing. Like we can all go over and list every single thing that has led up to them being 1-4. And we can look back as well in terms of them not making certain missing on draft picks or not making certain moves to prepare themselves for their future either. We can sit and talk about all those type of things. But it's a team that has underachieved. It's a team that I don't think many thought were going to be this bad. And sure, talent's there, but at the same time, just because you have talent, you have to be there mentally. You have to come together as a team. and it's hard to see at this current state how much that they can really turn things around. But that's what it comes down to, man. It comes down together. They have to come together as a team. They have to come together heart to heart, be there mentally, fight for each other, compete for each other. And that's a big aspect right there, man. You have to have that desire and that fire to play and to play to win. And they don't have that. And that's a big reason as to why is them being 1-4, aside from piss poor play calling and bad playing and stuff like that. But yeah, they definitely should have been better on offense. But again, that's on Mike Tomlin too, for having his heart set on Mitch Trubisky the whole time. But it's that's really kind of where I'm leaving it at, guys, with the team. They're 1-4. The record is what they are. They have, if you look at them as a team, yeah, like you would think that they would be better just as from talent wise, better than 1-4. But just because that's the case, that doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. You look at teams that have a better record than them, that don't have as good talent. It comes down to guys performing, execution as well, and playing for each other and having that heart to play. And there's just a big disconnect and a big divide right now there. And if they can get over that, then I think that's when you might see more production there. But it's just a shame, man. But like what we were talking about earlier, sometimes you need to fail. Sometimes you need to fail to see what's wrong, to see the problems, right? To get back on track.
I fail a lot, so I see everything. And what I do see is I see Here We Go show saying, congrats, Mike, on 800 subs. By the way, guys, by the end of today, I will be turning this channel into Buffalo Bills Nation. I'm currently getting over 500 views an hour from my reaction video on this channel, me reacting to the 98-yard pass, and they're all Bills fans. So if I change it to Buffalo Bills Nation, I'm sorry, guys, goodbye. But it's time because
that's okay, Mark.
I will hit 3,000 subs by the end of the day.
Bills Mafia Australia.
Unbelievable. Daniel, mate, what's going on? How do we get out of this? You're going to the Bucs game, right? How do we get out of this?
I'll be there. Hopefully I bring some good luck. And hopefully the Steelers will win this game.
Enjoy your time, though, at least.
Yeah, that's the plan. And here's the thing, though. When you look at the failures of what have happened so far, if Mitch Trubisky didn't lose those games, we wouldn't have Kenny Pickett in here. And so, and one thing that I'll say about the performance that against the Bills was that Kenny Pickett appears to be a guy. He appears that he could be the next franchise quarterback for a very long time. He makes solid decisions, and that's a big piece to this puzzle when it comes to creating a contending team. Now, the remaining story should be is, survival to the bye. The health is a big issue right now as to why this team is failing significantly across the board. And, after the bye week, I think the Steelers are going to be a significantly different and better team all the way around. And perhaps, hopefully, it's not a situation where it's a little too late. But I think that if the Steelers can survive till the bye and maybe pull out of maybe 2 of these next 3 victories until there, maybe perhaps we can see a push towards the end. But, when you look at Kenny Pickett, and you look at what he was able to do on the field and how he looked, I mean, you go back and when we talked about Deontay Johnson dropping the ball, there was 3 plays where, he didn't get his feet in bounds or the ball was knocked out of his hands or the ball slipped through his hands that could have been scoring plays, especially on 2 of them down in the red zone. It's, those things are going to get fixed. That chemistry is going to be built, and this team's going to get better. In my opinion, I think that's going to happen. You have TJ Watt that's going to be coming back. You have, Kazi, who's eventually also going to be coming back. I think they're going to start to utilize Calvin Austin III. Those little things are going to be little wrinkles that aren't yet noticed or been seen by the other NFL teams and could, show some spark or some flash out there to get the Steelers going in the right direction. But it's going to be a bumpy road till we get there. And it's going to, it's going to be survive to the bye. I think that's going to be the motto right now.
It is. I think adversity is a good thing, though. And the Steelers are a team that hasn't necessarily had a lot of that. No. Now, you look at a lot of the organizations around the league that are a complete dumpster fire and have been. That's not adversity. That's just you guys just don't know what the hell you're doing, and you guys just have not been able to get it right for years. Like Detroit, Cleveland all those years. You look at Houston. You look at Jacksonville all those years, blah, 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 blah.
I'd even say Falcons, man. Falcons since the Super Bowl. Panthers.
Yeah, right there too, Mark, right there. So, but it's good also at the end of the day. And Daniel, really had a lot of good right there to say. Like, he was really right in everything. And it is going to be a bumpy road till they get there. Will they get there? Yeah, they can. Now, does that mean they're going to make the playoffs? Probably not. But I don't really think playoffs even should have really been like a huge expectation this year. It was like, okay, if things go right, yeah, like they could maybe find themselves going there if things go right. If they're healthy on defense, or defense is playing the way that they should have been going in the year. If Mitch is okay, or if they make the switch early to Kenny, he's got the talent. Yeah, you can dissect all that and say, okay, if things kind of went well, yeah, maybe they could pull out 10 wins just based off of their pure talent. But obviously that's not the case. Mitch sucked. Matt Canada's offense is terrible. We know that. TJ went down. The defense just hasn't been good all around. So, yeah, we know all those issues are there at play. But it's good to have adversity at the same time, because going through that adversity, as you hope as a Steeler fan, stuff like that can bring everybody together. We might be able to see more better results come out of everybody, because sometimes someone in the comments said it earlier. Sometimes you need that failure. You need the down seat. You need those down times to see what you have.
If we go and win 3 games in a row, we're going to be the most confused podcast ever. Like if they go and beat the Bucs, the Dolphins, and the Eagles away, and what do we go into? We're 3-4 at the bye. We'll be like, what's happening?
We're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we're going to Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna end on these 2 comments. We had Here We Go show. Thank you, Devin May. He says 3 games out of the 1 seed. I can't believe that. Still a very long season. A lot of football to play.
There is.
There's like 11 games, 14 games, or whatever. There's something going on. Sean Downey says here, not that one. Sorry, my bad. Where was it? Where was it? Something about heart. Oh, did I lose it already? He was talking about. Here we go. So, is the issue no heart, or the players not buying the system? To me, it does feel like there's not much heart. And what I want to see what I want to see going forward to get better is if every player could play like George Pickens, how he blocks people. You know what I'm saying? That block against the Bills guy, when he put him over, if you just show that tape and say, hey, Deontay, can you catch like that? Yes, I can catch the ball 100%. I won't drop it for sure. Make some promises, put some goals. They need some mini goals. Mini goals would be, DJ would be like, okay, I'm not going to drop a ball today, right? Claypool, I'm going to leave my feet and stay vertical and not look like a pretzel. That'd be one goal too, right? Devin Bush would be like, one goal would be not running past the quarterback would be a goal. You know what I mean? Just mini goals like that. And I'm saying with a bit of tongue in cheek, but I think there is no heart in this idea. Najee Harris would be like, well, hey coach, I am injured. Sit me.
Right.
Just some mini goals like that. And I think that to me, there is no real heart in this team. Can they get better? 100%, 110%. But I'm going to say thank you guys to the chat. Sean, the LIM report, Robert's in there, Claude, everyone's in here.
Guys.
Here we go, show.
Every episode.
Hey, man.
It's a pretty big goal.
It is bad, isn't it? You see it up here and it goes boom, right through his hand. He's like he's allergic to it. Anyways.
Thank you,
All right, thanks, guys, for, we're doing this podcast. Who are we going next? Who's next? We always get this. Is it yours, Nathan? I think it's you.
Well, Daniel's going to be out of town Saturday. I'm leaving out of town Saturday, so I don't know what your guys' plan was for the show.
I'll do it.
It might just be a one-man show.
I should be good to go, Mark, in the afternoon, in the evening there on Saturday.
All right,
we'll figure out which channel we want to do it on.
Florida, and Daniel's going to Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
And I'm staying here.
And you're sticking in Australia, man. So.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
But yeah, guys, Daniel's gonna be at the Steeler game on Sunday. I'm gonna be gone for. Well, I won't be able to be on the podcast this Saturday, or obviously next week because I'll be out of town. But Mark and Daniel, they'll kind of go back.
All right,
and forth
Nathan, do we have a chance to win? What's your score prediction then?
Yeah. Since I'm leaving, I'm gonna say they don't win. Just because it's hard to have faith in where they're at right now. But I would hope that it would at least be better than now. You would imagine it would be better than Buffalo. They got a banged up O-line. Tom Brady. I mean, he's had his way with the Steelers and stuff like that. But after Buffalo showing, you would hope that they would put on a better showing. So until further notice, I'm not going to pick them to win this game against Tampa Bay, but maybe it might be a little bit better than Buffalo. But I think at the end of the day, man, I'm still just excited to see Kenny's progression. I don't think this is going to be a team that only wins 4 or 5 games. I still think they'll win a little bit more than that going into the bye week. But we know their problems, guys. We know their problems. They have to come together. And until they do that, you're just going to continue to have everybody on the wrong page and all this dissension and stuff like that. But we gotta see what happens there. But if I'm gonna give a score, I think I kind of like maybe 24-17 or something like that. Buccaneers.
All righty. Well, guys, thank you for checking out Buffalo Bills Nation Australia. Currently sitting on 488 views right now for my reaction video, and no subs out of it. So check you guys later. Excellent podcast. We have so much fun with you guys. Thank you for everybody. Comments. You guys are awesome. Thanks, Nathan, mate. Thanks, Daniel, mate. And let's listen to this cool soundtrack one more time.
Welcome to the Unofficial Steelers Podcast, the podcast so unofficial it doesn't have a home. Here's your host, from In Hindsight, Nathan Heitz. From Steelers Nation Australia, Mark Davison. And from State of the Steelers, Daniel J. Here we go!